You're cutting that, just so you know. Lamborghini dating?
Yeah.
Carbon dating. Yeah, that's a good one. Just one.
That's all it needs.
You never know. How will they know? Well, just everyone that saw this video. Hey everyone, and welcome back to DC MotorWerks. My name is Cameron, and we are back here with Ed Bolian from VinWiki's Verde Draco Lamborghini LP640 Murcielago. And we're here today because Ed has asked me a very strange request to defile his Lamborghini. So let's go ahead and see what we have in store. So I've been talking in the last couple of days or so with Ed about his Lamborghini here because we were getting a spoiler error. And we wanted to make sure we addressed that because, as with the project, we want everything to be 100% on this car. After many days and hours of fooling with the spoiler here, we've made some changes because one of the motors was too strong and was making the spoiler move not evenly. And a few other things, there were some pins missing, there were some bushings missing. So regardless of what we did, we found out that the issue with the spoiler is that it was binding against the quarter panel or the body here on the car. And we tried adjusting it every which way, up, down, side. There's, you know, many of adjustments you can do to the deck lid here on the Murcielagos, but none of it got us where we needed to be. And what we came down to the decision of is that either the paint is too thick or something along the lines with when this car was painted from its original black to this beautiful dragon green or Verde Draco, that the clearances are too tight on the spoiler here against the body. And if cameraman will come on in, I'll kind of show you, it's more noticeable on this side, but it is just so tight here where the spoiler meets the body that when the spoiler rotates, it contacts the body, and that creates excess resistance, which tells the spoiler control unit that something is wrong and it stops working and sets a light. Like I said, we've tried adjusting this in every which way that we can and just have decided that it is not going to happen and that the spoiler needs to be trimmed or shaved down. If you actually look at the deck lid compared to the spoiler, you can see the difference in clearance from the deck lid to the spoiler and how much wider it is. So after a little bit of back and forth from Mr. Bolian, he decided it is time to shave down the spoiler. Andy and I are going to go ahead and get this off and see what we can do to make this work properly. I am going to grab Andy specifically for this one because his hands are a lot steadier than mine. So Ed had told me this spoiler generally worked, but would sometimes bind and do some funny things. And you can see there's some evidence of, again, where I talked about that motor that was a little too strong, would actually pull the spoiler into the deck lid here. And you can see where it has worn away at some of the paint. But upon asking him about what he wanted to do about it binding against the body, he responded by handing me a couple Sharpies. And after some questionable looks from me, he said, yep, he said, make it work, go for it. These Sharpies almost match the Verde Draco perfectly. And so that is what we are going to do today, is take some of this excess material off of the spoiler here. And if you want to come on in and have a look, you can see where, as I was talking about there, that it had worn through previously into the paint there. And you can see, again, just how tight on the body the spoiler is. So Andy and I are going to go ahead and pull this off and see what we're going to come up with. So my first step here is going to be to protect the rest of our body work while we remove this deck lid, because it is such tight clearances. So just a little painter's tape. These clearances are so tight that when we've done this before, you almost can't get the sheet of tape in between it. Yeah, usually one side you can't. And then to remove the deck lid on the Murcielagos, there are just two 13 millimeters and then the two 10s that hold the hood latch if you are working on a coupe, because the hood latch on a Roadster is up on the front. Here's one. You can see we've already removed the grill which houses your license plate lights, which it's not super easily removable, so we just keep it tucked away with its excess wiring, which makes that pretty easy. And then there are just 2 pins, there's one here and one there, built onto the deck lid here that locates the rear. Second step, or could have been the first, is to unplug your spoiler motors. And then you'll just lift up at the front and pull off the back. And then you have a deck lid. You can see the width difference from the deck lid to the spoiler of how much thicker that it actually is. And that's the whole reason we're having spoiler warnings. And next we are going to take a few measurements, and then we will actually take the spoiler off of the deck lid and let Andy do that part, because like I said, I'm a little too, my hands are a little too shaky for something so delicate. Precision.
Then the other side is flathead. Not sure who has been here before us, but you'll notice the 2 different hardware that has. One size has 10s and this size just has flat blade. It's just a pivot point for the motor, basically.
So the only thing that tells these motors what to do is a resistance value. So when it comes to the end of its stop for the spoiler, all that's telling this motor to shut off is how much resistance it pulls. Same thing for when it opens. So there's not really like a position sensor or anything, and that was part of the problem with this, is that it was applying so much torque that it was tweaking the spoiler in the deck lid. Got the nail, it's prepared for this.
Permanent pocket screwdriver. Bolt in here that bolts the motor to the hinge right down here at the bottom.
Those were actually missing originally. It is one of the things that we were trying to correct originally, as well as some missing washers or bushings that go on either side there.
What was that, an Allen or a Torx? It's an Allen.
Evan had a ball socket Allen he was using. Do you have it handy, Ev? So again, protecting everything. I want to be very thorough and careful here.
I get about 1 click out of my ratchet for every. This should be good enough. So that's what we're pulling out of there.
And then there are just 2 screws on either side that bolt the spoiler to the body. This one, someone's already stripped out the Allen head, and they've cut a slit in it for a big flathead. Works fine. This is where these ball socket Allens come in handy, because you don't have to have quite the straight angle on them. And there's our prize. So you see, this is where one of the places it was rubbing, as well as in here. Just need to take, I don't know, 1/16 or so, a little bit more, and should work perfect. What's nice is that it's in a nice, not very noticeable area, so our special VinWiki touch-up pin should do just the job.
So we'll do 120 and then go to 240. See how that turns out. We've got to remove a pretty good bit of material, which I suspect to be Bondo. What we're gonna do, we've taped off the line from here straight across here to show the excess that's exposed and straight on by. So I'm gonna try to grind away this excess Bondo and paint that's been put here to bring it back to the correct width. So this will be the amount of material we're gonna try to remove what's hanging out of the tape. It's Bondo.
Yeah, I see it now. Yeah,
I smell it. You can see the layer. I finally hit the carbon fiber, but all of this is Bondo skim coat that they put on it. I probably took half of it off. We're definitely into the carbon fiber part of it. Do we want to keep going or just see?
Start there on both sides.
That's probably half of it. If you look right here, you can see more painted material hanging out of the tape. This side needs even more cut away from it. You can see right there where it was scratching on the body. Really close to the paint line. It's not right up on it yet, but I don't want to take away any more than I have to. Get the dust off where you can see it real good. The green just kind of disappears closer to the tape than that side, but I had to remove more material from the other.
So this is how you properly age your Lamborghini, is you shave back the paint and you see how many layers there are. You know, it's just like aging a tree, you know? So you see you get your raw carbon fiber there, get the original primer, the original paint, and then the repaint primer in the repaint color. Lamborghini dating?
Yeah.
Carbon dating. Yeah, that's a good one. And then we have our VinWiki touch-up pen here. Metallic gold bronze.
Check it on this here and see if you can make it match.
Yeah, we can, I gotta get my painting stool. Hang on. Serious artwork here. I gotta get on proper level here. Just one.
That's all it needs.
Look at that. You'd never know. How will they know? Just everyone that saw this video. Maybe we add a little more bronze in it. Is that the trick? I don't know. I think I like the goldish one better. I will say, for a unapproved yet approved touch-up pen, I'll take it.
So now we got to put it all back together
and test fit it.
See if it fits, and then take it all back out. And do we leave the edges square?
They should be beveled, but I like that there's more green left there.
You'll expose into the primer, so it'll change the color on the bevel.
Yeah,
right
we don't want that.
You have green all the way to the edge, so I think it looks nicer, honestly, to leave it alone.
Okay, let's put her back on. There she goes. See, now you never know. Back my tool. I'd argue we're still hitting a little. Yeah, right there.
I'm touching here, head straight up.
It's like here, and I think pretty much straight.
Okay,
so it starts to touch at position 2. It's not touching at position 1 anymore, which is good.
So let it fall down, and we'll slide it back a little.
Make a point. So the Murcielago spoilers run at 2 positions. So it is a partial and then a full, depending on your speed. I forget exactly the speed right offhand. I know it's 220 kilometers an hour for position 2, so about 130 miles an hour. And position 1, I think 140, so around 70 miles an hour or so. Just the fun part about things like this, it's adjust, test, adjust, test, adjust, test some more. And then we have to actually test it with the motors reinstalled, because they apply a different force to it than Andy and I do with just moving it by hand.
If you look at it though as it sits, that's a lot you're gonna have to take out of that. Look on either side. Mm-hmm. I'm touching, probably in total, 1/4 inch of material. So you'll be digging into the tape.
Doesn't make sense because you're already in the carbon fiber.
Which was factory.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly the body.
Oh
too
yeah,
wide.
the body got filled too. That's right.
They don't have dents, like reliefs for this at
No.
the up position, do they?
There's nothing. Take a little more and we'll try it. But even then, I don't know that it'll be enough to really fuss about.
If I bevel my cut, it'll improve how it fits. Instead of being square, like as it sits right now, if I lean it in like that, it'll give you more clearance, but it'll expose more raw.
Yeah, which I don't really want to do. So now that we have manually test fitted and made sure there are no more bind points on our spoiler, it is time to put it all back together. So we've got to put the pins back in the motors here, and they're off just a little bit from where they need to be to put the pins back in. So we're hooking up the power probe just so we can actuate them manually and get them lined up. And then we'll put it back on the car, and we will use the Lamborghini scan tool to initialize the spoiler. And then we'll be able to test it and make sure it works that way. So this is not your OBD connector. This is your CAN connector for Murciélagos, which lives under the passenger side of the dash. You also do get an OBD connector, but that is on the other side, behind, under the steering column. Once we're in, this is the LDOS system. So not quite the LARA for the newer stuff, but all your old commands and stuff are in the LDOS system. So we'll go to System, choose our model year 07 Murciélago, go to Commands, Air Intakes and Stabilizer, and then we will reset all devices, which will do all three of them. So now we will hit Reset All Devices, and it will relearn both bat wings and the stabilizer. Okay, so everything's happy. So now I can test all and open everything, but y'all may like to see that, so we'll just open all. And that will automatically go to position 2 on the spoiler. So it'll go to its fully open position. I don't know, we've got our protective covers on here, and that is a fully open Murciélago. Make sure our protecting stuff doesn't get sucked in. Now we'll do the all-important paper test here. Let's see, even with our tape protection, we now have clearance on both sides. So now we can pull back the tape and test it a final time. So here we pulled back the tape now that everything seemed to be working properly, and we tested it a final couple times, and everything was as happy as could be, no warning lights. So we gave the car back to Ed, fully completed, and he actually just recently completed a road trip to Florida and back in it with no warnings on the dash. So everything was successful. If you liked the video, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we'll see you on the next one.